SimCoder here, and today we are going to start working on our rating system. So we'll have the rating bar, which is an object that Android Studio has, that it just stars and we can choose how many we want, and the user can click and it shows the rating that the customer wants to give to the driver. So the rating bar will only appear to the customer. And let me show you how the database works. So let me just scroll up. In the driver section, there will be a child with the ratings below, and this child key is the key of the ride itself, so it matches up with the ones in the history. And with that we can guarantee that each ride only gets one rating and not more. So the user will be able to the way I'm going to do it is by allowing the customer to choose as many times as you want. I'm not going to put any restrictions, but you could if you want to. So let's before we advance, let me just say that this will allow us to, in the next lesson, calculate the rating for each driver much easier, because all you have to do is to get every value that's in this rating child here inside the driver child, and sum them up and divide by the number, so we get an average number of that. So let's get right on with it and open up the Android Uber project. So the first thing that we are going to do is to implement the rating bar. And let me just check one thing. Okay, so we're going to place it below everything. Let's say rating bar. And we are going to set everything to wrap content. The ID will be rating bar, gravity center, num of stars, and I'm going to pick 5 because that's the most usual one, and the step size 1. The step size is like if you want the user to choose decimal numbers, so you can choose like 4.5, but and for that you'll choose like 0.5 or 0.1 or whatever you want, any multiple of that. But no, in my case I'm going to choose 1, so the user will only be able to choose 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 stars, so whole numbers. And I'm going to set the visibility to gone, because in the beginning the user won't see unless he's a customer. And let me just check one thing. I'm going to remove the margin of this one, okay, so that we don't have to use a scroll view by now, but when we want to make it pretty we can absolutely do that. So now let's set the visibility to gone and move on to the history single activity. So the first thing that we do is always to call the object, so private rating bar and rating bar, and let's just call it inside here. Rating bar and rating bar. Okay, so now we can move on to the fun part, and because of the work that we did in the previous lesson, and if you don't remember, please go check it out, we can go in here and we already know if the current logged in user is the driver or the customer. So because we only want to show it when it is the customer that's logged in, we can simply go inside the inside the customer related. Okay, so inside the customer child, so if child guide key dot equals, if not, oh no, I'm actually mistaken, I'm sorry, it is on the lower one. So if not driver ID equals to, that means that it is a customer, so it is inside here that we must do it. So what will we call it? Display customer related objects. Just in the case that we want to add more customer related things, then we have a general name for it. And let's create the method. And in here, because we already have the rating bar called upon, so we can show the bar, and for that we use set visibility to view dot visible. And now we will use a listener that rating bar has, which is called set on rating changed listener. And this will allow us to change the rating in the database every time there is a change within the rating bar. Okay, so history write info database dot child rating, and let me just scroll up to show you what the history write info database is. And it is right here, and it is as we have seen before, the history database, it's this one. So it's the inside the child history, and then the string associated with that ride. So we can move on, and child rating dot set value rating. And this rating is the value that's passed inside here. It is a float, but it will always be an int in our case. Okay, so now all that's left is to change inside the driver child. We must input this value there. So yeah, that's fairly easy. You can just call database reference and driver rating db equals to firebase database dot get instance dot get reference dot child users dot child drivers dot child. There is a lot of child, but oops, a mistake there. So dot child driver ID dot child rating. We are finally done with it. So now we must set the value there. Oops. Okay. Capitalized letter that shouldn't be. So we will only do dot child ride ID, then set value to rating. And that's it. I believe we don't need to do anything else. Okay, so all that's left is to actually show the rating of this ride to the customer at the beginning. So to do that, we only need to do so. Go in here, copy and paste this, and instead of getting the timestamp, for example, you get the rating. Yeah, the rating. So yeah, I was a bit confused, but yeah, that's what we need. And now we can simply get this, get the rating, which we must call upon, or actually we don't need it. No, we don't need it. So we only need to get the integer to convert this into an integer. Integer dot value of and you will set the RatingBar rating to this value right here. So dot set rating, just place it there, close everything, integer value of get value to string, that's right. So yeah, that's everything. Let's run the code and see if everything checks out. Okay, so the app finished loading. Let's just, I grabbed the history, right? And let's just click on the rating bar and see what happens. So let's say 5, and 5 appears here, and it should also appear, oops, but it appears somewhere else. Let's check where it pops up. Okay, so that's there. And as you can see, when we change it, it also changes here. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so yeah, if we go back and start the single page history single page again, it will show up again and everything is working as it should. So yeah, that's all for today. In the next lesson we'll show you how you can actually calculate the rating for each rider, and that rating will appear when a pickup request is made and the driver is found. So yeah, that will be interesting. Again, thank you all very much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe down below, and click the bell if you want to be notified anytime I release a lesson on this series or any other. So yeah, I hope to see you again tomorrow, and ciao.